Basically, the concept here is say one thing loud and clear. Say one thing loud and clear. That is the most important thing I've ever learned about business and the most difficult realization that I ever came to about business. The most difficult thing I've done is to be able to say one thing loud and clear. What I see is most small businesses line extend, line extend, line extend. They need to pick up revenue, they add a service. They need to pick up revenue, they add a product, they add a service, they add a product. The more you become, the less you are. The only way you can be something powerful is to be one thing. Be one thing loud and clear. And that's what branding and positioning is all about. Branding is not a logo. A brand is not a logo. A logo is part of it. A website's part of it. Everything's part of it. Your services are part of it. Your products are part of it. But basically, I do web marketing. That's what I do. But when people come to me for a website, the first thing we have to look at is the brand. What are you saying? What are you saying loud and clear? And I always use examples of cars because there's some great examples. Let's say somebody wants to go buy an automobile. Well, the first thing, if you follow the motivation of the consumer, the first way they think is in categories, right? They're not going to be standing in a parking lot saying, it's either going to be this BMW Z3 convertible or this Chevy 3500 dually with the commercial suspension package. Nobody comes down to that decision. They have long eliminated one of those brands before they ever get to that decision. Right? People go through a categorical and a positioning process before they ever come to you for your service. For example, let's say that I decide I need an automobile. Well, I know whether I want a truck or whether I want a car. I buy with my emotions and justify with my logic. That's the way people are. So if I feel like I want a car, let's say I want a sedan. That eliminates a bunch of brands. The Chevy 3500 doesn't need to be trying to compete for my business. They become less of what they are, trying to go after my business. So now I'm down to sedans. I'm looking at a certain price range. So I'm thinking, okay, this price range puts me, I'm going used. This price range puts me looking at a sedan, looking at let's say Mercedes, BMW, and Volvo. Let's say I'm down to those three. Now it becomes a competition of brands. Probably each of you in this room, if you were faced with that choice, you probably know right now which car you would buy without doing long comparisons between the three. Probably. I don't know. The point is, each of those brands has a specific presence. Each of those brands is specific. BMW equals performance. Volvo equals safety. And Mercedes equals luxury. They have a powerful brand. They each say one thing loud and clear. And whatever they say taps into the motivation of a certain prospect. For example, if I was motivated by safety and I have those three choices, I'm going to be inclined to pick a Volvo. If I'm motivated by practicality and safety, if I'm motivated by performance, if I think the BMW is sexy and I want to buy it because of that, I love it and I want to buy it because of the performance and the way it's sleek and the way it looks, I'm going to buy a BMW and I'm going to justify with logic. Now, how does this apply to you? How does this apply to the small business, the small service business? The point is, each of these cars, each of these brands has done an exceptional job of saying one thing loud and clear. They are not stepping on each other's toes. Once you get down into the category and you're deciding between brands, each of those brands must say one thing loud and clear. Now, creating a website is a beautiful opportunity. Not because a website is going to be another marketing tool that you have in your tool belt. Yeah, that's fine. But it's a better opportunity than that. It is the opportunity, this is the first thing I do when I create a website, is I try to crystallize a company down to one image, that home page. I try to crystallize a company down to one image, and I mean everything. It communicates your category. We sell insurance. It communicates your subcategory. We're a local independent insurance company, not one of the big boys. It gives your USP, your unique selling proposition. We're the historic leader. We've been around since 1906. And then it taps into the motivations of your prospect. What does your prospect want? Why are they there? They came there for a reason. What is it? I had a problem when I started my business. I was trying to do everything, like every small business. I'm trying to line extend, to pick up revenue. I'm like Subway before it was Subway. The guy who owned Subway, he'd add a sandwich, he'd add a steak, he'd add a hot dog, trying to make more money. Thinking if I had a hot dog, maybe I'll get somebody who wants a hot dog. Finally, he said, you know what? Forget it. Stripped it down. Only sell sub sandwiches. The fastest growing food chain in the United States. The most powerful brands mean one thing. Nike equals sports. Microsoft equals software. right? They mean one thing. Xerox equals copy machine. When they made computers, they lost their butts because people said, this machine won't make copies. What's wrong with it? This Xerox machine must be broken. Because it means one thing. It's a very powerful brand. The small business, I think, for the most part, fails in this regard. I think small businesses can be much more successful if they try to say one thing loud and clear, if you build a specific brand. I see it in, Tom and I talked about it the other day. Tom, IT. Jason, web marketing. For me to try to fix your computer would be a major mistake on my part. First of all, I can't, so I'd mess it up. Right? And me to try to network your computers would be a major mistake because I would mess them up, and I can't. But I could go hire somebody that could do that, and I could offer that service, but it would be a mistake. That's not what I do. I think if Tom built websites, it would be a mistake. Tom is an IT man. He can network your computers, put in a server. He can handle all of your IT problems. He's not a marketing person. I mean, he is kind of, but not in the perception of the people who are hiring him. They come to him for IT. They come to me for marketing. It's a mistake. I used to do that with, I started out editing and then writing, and then I just being scrappy. That's how I started the business, right? I just got on the internet and tried to figure out who can pay me to do what. You know, I had a master's degree in writing, so I was like, again, I was teaching grammar in public schools, so I was like, you know, I can edit. I can get those jobs. And I just used salesmanship to get the jobs, and then I would get more jobs and more jobs, and I was line extending to try to get more money, right? I would add a service. I'd get another person to pay me to do something else. And you should have seen my website, man. It was awful. It was a laundry list of tons of different things. And all of a sudden, I'm competing with Logo Works to do logo. I'm competing with Tom, saying I can fix your computer because I know a guy who can, and I'll just let him do it and charge him more and pay him some of the money. Right? I'm competing with a web designer. I'm competing with copywriters. I'm competing with everybody, and I'm nothing. If a car came into that category I was talking about, and it said, we are luxury, safety, and performance, they would lose. They would lose to the Mercedes for people who want luxury. They would lose to the BMW for people who want performance. And they would lose to the Volvo for people who are motivated by safety. Your prospect has a central motivation. And you have to be that, or they are not interested. If you try to be that and something else, they don't care. They don't believe you. There are two laws going on in perception, as far as I see it, as far as marketing. The law of singularity, which means if you are this, you cannot be that. And the law of association, which they seem contradictory. Law of association is, well, if he made my website, he can probably fix my computer. Well, my clients all the time bring me, hey, my email's not working. We check it out on our server where we're hosting. If it's on their computer, it's like, look, I can try to help you, but that's like taking a drill to a carpenter and saying, carpenter, fix my drill. Carpenter say, look, I can build you a home with this drill, but I can't fix it. If he started to try to become a tool repairman, his business would go down. He would lose carpentry business because he's trying to be something else. Now, again, back to the web. The first thing that I do when I create a website is to try to crystallize your brand into one page. But you have to have a brand. I don't mean a logo. I mean a logo is part of it. I mean you have to say one specific thing. Go with your core services. Forget the rest. It takes courage. But we play this game with courage. It takes courage. I mean, I'm working with two lawyers right now. One of them is going to be the real estate lawyer, commercial real estate, York County's commercial real estate law. That's great. He's doing exceptionally well. He can become known as that. He can dominate that if he's only that. Now, yeah, he'll do some other things. So people call him, hey, can you help me with this lease or whatever, or even this contract or whatever. Yeah, he might help him out. But he can become that. Another guy I'm working with, bankruptcy law. That's what he's going after. I am the bankruptcy lawyer. I am York County's historic leader in bankruptcy law. He can become that. He cannot become the #1 lawyer in every different type of law. You cannot do it. Look at things like the banking, the community banking industry. Everybody is saying the same thing. Everybody's crowded into one positioning corner. You basically have so many positions you can have in a category. Think about it. You can have the historic leader. You can have the innovative upstart. You can have the server. You can have the price leader, which I don't suggest any of you try to be unless you are Walmart, because there can only be one price leader. Everybody else goes out of business. There can only be one. If people are coming to you because your price is the lowest, that means they will abandon you like that if they find somebody who's a cent cheaper. right? Do not go for price leader, I don't think. You can be premium. I'm that good. I'm so good, you just have to pay me a bunch of money. That's how good I am. That's premium, right? You can go for specialist. For specialist, position yourself as a specialist. Now, this is very relevant to a lot of people in this room. Terry is a specialist. Phil is a specialist. Be a specialist. Christy can be a specialist, right? If she positions herself as being one thing, she can be a specialist. And she's already on the road to that. I mean, all the exercise, the training stuff she does, and the programs she does are great for that. You can be a specialist. That's a great positioning. But what happens is, there's only so many open positions within a category. Think about what you are. Be one thing. Be one thing. Are you premium? Are you a specialist? Are you the historic leader? Are you an innovative upstart? Look at your competition. If there's already a historic leader, you may want to come out and be the innovative upstart. The point is, if that is your brand, be it in every facet. Reflect it in your website, reflect it on your business cards, reflect it in your attitude, reflect it in your dress, reflect it in your services. Actually change your products and your services to be that. That's why creating a website is such a beautiful opportunity. Because you can create the business that you should be, and you can become it over the next year or 2 years. You create it first in a visual image, a conceptual, theoretical, visual image of what you should be, and then you become it. Now, does it mean, if you're going to focus on your core services, does it mean that you have to drop all of your other clients that don't fit into those services? Of course not. You need the revenue. I understand that. We all do. You just start marketing your core services. Everybody in business banking saying the same, community banking saying the same thing. They're all saying service. But that's what we sell. I know it's what you sell. Everybody in small business, tons of people, service, quality service, first in service. Pride in our service. Service is number one. We're the service company. Service is us. Service is nothing. Service is everything to run a business, but it is nothing in communication. It means nothing. It's like saying, I have a business license. So what? People will assume that you have quality service. They will give you that. They will hand you that. That's fine. Until you mess something up. I believe you. You have quality service. And I can trust you. That's great. It does not say anything. It is not differentiation. Also, when you go for differentiation, that's what brand is about, creating differentiation. BMW didn't go for better. They went for performance. In our mind, we think it performs better. Volvo didn't go for safer. They went for safety. In our mind, we think it must be safer. It's not. A Mercedes is as safe as a Volvo. But not to the general public. Not in our perceptions. Right? I said the other day, I follow all this stuff too. I said the other day, my dad said, yeah, you're talking about the Honda Pilot or something. I said, yeah, and Hondas are, pretty much just good, reliable cars. I didn't know that. I just believe that because it's just part of my psyche. Right? Honda went for reliability, and they did an exceptional job in achieving it. Right? I would love to drive a straight drive, fat BMW because I'm thinking, man, that thing's going to corner like mud. Right? I bet a Volvo's drive just as well. Volvo actually built their cars to look safer. They changed the actual product to reflect their brand. BMW does the same thing. Sleek. Everything's all leathery. I feel like you want to wear leather gloves when you're in there. Change gears. Right? Because of performance. You have to do, in my opinion, the same thing. You have to differentiate and say something specific. And then you actually become that company. You move away from line extension. Don't add another service. Drop one. Don't add another service. Drop one. Don't advertise something different every time you advertise. Advertise one thing and advertise it over and over again. Now, I know I'm guilty of doing some of the things I say don't do. I know that. It's been a long and arduous struggle for me. I am a lot of things. I fancy myself somewhat of a Renaissance man. I've written a novel. I'm in a band. And I do writing, and I used to do editing, and I taught school, and I started this marketing website company. What I realized as I started to approach the national stage, as I started to get regional clients and then talk to some national clients, they'd go to RevenFlo, and it was web marketing. They'd go to jasonbarter.com. Oh, this kid plays in a punk band. This guy can't build my website. He's a punk rocker. You can't be both. I could not be both. When people go to RevenFlo, they have to find me being a web marketing expert. When they go to Jason Broadwater, I need to be a web marketing expert. Standing up here, I need to be a web marketing expert. If I try to tell you I'm something else, then I become neither. Now, the database of intentions. That's my next little section here. When you take the courage, when you have the courage to be able to brand yourself, and it takes courage, but we play this game with courage, y'all. This is not a joke. You can live the life of the small business that basically struggles, and your marketing can be shotgun. You try one thing, it spikes your revenue a little bit. That was good. Maybe we'll try it again in a couple months. That's it. You put in effort, you get a little bit of return. You put in effort, you get a little bit of return. That's the life of the marketing life of most small businesses. They get capped at a certain revenue, depending on your expenses, whatever. I mean, you might be capped at 100, capped at 150, whatever. You get capped. Where's your potential for growth? How are you going to grow? Are you going to grow outward? Are you going to grow upward? Or are you going to just stay where you are? You've got to have model for growth. You cannot grow by line extending. You add another service, you will not grow. You might score one hit, but you will lose market share. You will become less than you were when you had less services. You will lose market share. Look around your category. Who are you competing with specifically? Right? When I think, Dave, when I think I need a handyman, who do I think of? Well, I think of Dave because Dave's done some work for me in the past when I was in this group. You are your presence. To each individual person, you are your presence. Have they met you? Do they know you personally? Have they been to your store? Did they see your ad? Did they see your website? What was their experience with you? Whatever that is, that's what you are. You are not what you think you are. You are what he thinks you are, what she thinks you are. You are that. And if they see you fragmented, if they see you and you're this, and they see you and you're something else, and they see you and you're something else, you're nothing to them. You are nothing. You can only be something by being one thing. You can only be something by being one thing. That's the way the mind works. There's too much competition out there for you to try to compete with everybody. Don't compete with the Chevy Dually and the Z3 BMW. It does not work. The database of intentions. To most people, the internet is a search engine. People think that a search engine is the internet. Right? You click on the blue E on your computer, or however you get to the internet, you pull up the internet. And you see either Google, Yahoo, or MSN. How many people see MSN? How many people see Yahoo? How many people see Google? Wow. Okay, you see one of those three, it's like 90% of the searches or something. I don't know what the statistics are, but almost all the searches are done with these three big dogs. And people think that is the internet. If Google comes up every time you click E, you think that is that box with the blinking cursor to you is the internet. It's just a website. Google.com is just a website. And it has a tool on it. Bill has mortgage calculators, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. I do his website, I should know. But Bill has a tool. Let's say Bill has a mortgage calculator on his website. He's got a website with a tool on it. Google has a website with a tool on it. That's all it is. But people think that that is the internet. That box with the flashing cursor. And here's the amazing part. They type into there exactly what they want. They type in exactly what they want. That is amazing because you know why? That term that you typed in is kept in a database. Google, Yahoo, MSN, they all have databases that record everything that you've ever typed in. Now, can they track it back to you personally? Google and them actually do have the ability to do that. That's what's scary about the U.S. Patriot Act, but I won't get into politics. But that's not the important thing here. Google doesn't do that. They say they don't do that, whatever. The important thing here is I have access to that database. And no, I don't work for the NSA. I have access to that database through a service called WordTracker. WordTracker.com. You can have access to it too. WordTracker.com. It costs like $450, $500 a year or something like that. Now here's what you do. I can run algorithms on that database. I can type in tax, enter. I can see the top 100 terms that were typed in that had the word tax in it in the past 90 days. Anywhere in the world, whatever's been typed in that had the word tax in it. Bill, you have that stuff? This is tax. Tax Freedom Day is the most popular term right now that anybody's typing in that has the word tax in it. Number 2 is just the word tax. And number 3 is the word TurboTax. The most popular terms that are out there that have the word tax in it. People are typing in exactly what they want. Think about if somebody was walking to their mailbox and you freeze brain. They're about to open their mailbox. And you could go into their brain and you could know what's right in front of their brain. And then you could put a piece of mail into that mailbox. And when they open it, it would be exactly what they were thinking. That would be phenomenal. What if you could stand at Walmart and compete with them, but you're inside and they come in and you had a shopping cart. You knew exactly what they were coming in for, and you could say, here you go. Just walk over to the register and buy it, please. They'd be like, wow, you're great. This is great. That's what you can do. That's the beauty, one of the beauties of a website. People type in exactly what they want. Whatever comes up, that's what they believe is there to give them what they want. You type in exercise spa Fort Mill. Whatever comes up, those are the exercise spas in Fort Mill as far as the consumer is concerned. That's what's there. Right? They click on it, they go to the website. What happens next? What happens? If they come there and it starts talking about haircuts, then that's bad. They don't want a haircut. They want an exercise spa. They will leave. People click something about every 30 seconds, sometimes every 5 seconds. They're gone. They will click that X up in the top corner and they will leave. Think about this not in terms of your website, but in terms of your business. What are the motivations of your prospects? They come to you for something. I used to do this. People would come to me for a website. That was hands down the motivation of my prospect. Hey man, I need a website. And I would say, well, first we need to talk about branding and we need to talk about integrated marketing. And they're like, no, I want a website. What is it going to cost me to buy a website? So I had to figure out, I understood that you cannot build a powerful website unless you build it around a brand. You cannot do it. It won't be powerful. It might have a bunch of bells and whistles, but it will not increase the revenue and your market share over the long term. It will not grow the equity of your brand because you don't have one. How much is your business worth? What, 50% of last year's revenue? People don't want to admit that, but it's probably true. If you left, what is there? Unless you have a brand that means one thing, that becomes a powerful entity in and of itself in the community of prospects, then your business in and of itself has no value. You just have your stuff and your current clients. Now, I know you're not planning on selling your business, but the point is you need to grow the equity of your brand. That will generate revenue. That will generate revenue. So, if somebody types in web marketing in Rock Hill, my company comes up first. I did that because I took all the services that I provide and I put them under one title, web marketing. And I did this for a couple reasons. First of all, marketing is what I do, but I use the web predominantly. But marketing is what I do. And yes, it's appropriate to explore your brand, explore your business if we're going to build your website, because I turn clients down when they say, no, I just want a website. No, I just want a website. How much is it going to cost? I just want a website. I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't do it. I can't build you a website without examining your company, examining your brand, examining your competition, examining your positioning within your category. I can't do it. So, we have to part ways, agree to disagree. So yes, marketing is part of what I do. So web marketing is a term. I did it for another reason. Look at my competition. You got IT people who build websites. That's fine, good for them. If you want an IT person with an all-in-one solution and they can manage your website, good, go hire one, that'd be great. If designers, there are people who are designers. They are artists, they are designers. They would be doing print design, but they're working in the media of the web because it's available. They're designers. If you need a designer, if that's what you want, I got my marketing straight, I just need a really good designer, then go hire one. That'd be great. Right? If you want to hire a marketing company, if you want to approach the web with a marketing company, then you won't find any competition with me out there. The reason why is because the other people, the IT people that are building websites, they talk about marketing. The designers that are building websites, they talk about marketing. But they're trying to be multiple things. They should be a designer. They'd get more business. I am just one thing. I am a web marketer. I'm one thing. So I get more business. I sacrifice the other people. I sacrifice the people who come to me and say, I need you to network my computers. First thought in my head, hey, if I network their computers, maybe I can do a conversation about marketing, and maybe I could. No. I say, let me give you a referral. I know a guy who does a great job. Right? I know it's hard. It takes courage because all of us need the revenue. But when you get into tapping into the motivations of your prospects, you have to remember to remain honest. You have to remember to remain honest. Honest to yourself. What are your strengths and weaknesses? What are your passions and your desires? This is serious stuff. You know? I mean, I struggled with being an artist and a writer and all this kind of stuff. Going from being a young man into being a professional, I struggled like, what am I just going to sacrifice all these dreams and hopes and passion and just like run a corner grocery and not be happy? No. You take all that energy and passion, you put it into your business. Do something that you love and you can do it better. So when I look at web marketing, I always look at, in marketing, I look at the strengths and the desires and the passions of the people. I had a long time ago, I had somebody tell me, look, you should strip down your core services down to this because this one's making the most money. And my response was, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So I didn't. Even though that one was making the most money, and logically that would be the one to strip down to and focus on, I would not have been as successful in it because I didn't like it. I didn't want to do it. Right? So you have to be honest with yourself, and you have to be honest with your prospects. Don't try to trick them into getting to your website. Don't, when they type in, one thing, and you try to trick them and get to your website and try to sell them on something else. Be as honest as you possibly can. This is exactly what I do. I do this one thing, and that's what I sell it. People will come to you. You have to get out there and work, but they will come to you. You will become one thing in the public. This database of intention, I do work for Bill, and I do work for Heidi, and I get their websites to show up in search engines. And I use this database of intentions. I figure out what people are typing in regard to their service by using this database. And then I change their website to be about that. But there's a bunch of rabbit holes involved. For example, let's say I see something like with Heidi, let's say I see something like exercise spa, it's really hot. And I could think, wow, I could get right on the first page of exercise spa in Fort Mill, or in Charlotte, really easily. That would be bad. People that type in exercise spa are not wanting Heidi services. You're getting in the way. Right? That would be bad. Be honest with your prospects. Be honest with yourself. The other thing is, the last part here is serving and succeeding. And basically, what you have to do once you solidify your brand, once you say one thing loud and clear, is you have to get the prospect to engage. You have to get your prospect to engage. Get them to do something. Right? I used to teach 9th grade English. And I could stand up in front of the class, just because I have in my personality, I could stand up in front of the class and talk the whole time. And I could be, funny, or I could make some kids laugh, and I could be relatively cool compared to the other teachers there, Probably wasn't as cool as I thought I was, but I could stand up there and I could put on a little show. And that's what I did the first semester, every day. And man, it wore me out. It wore me out. Every day, 3 times a day, for 90 minutes, I'm just putting on a show. Right? But I realized that learning is not passive. I have to get these kids to go through some type of discovery process. They have to go through some type of discovery process. Participate and discover. Right? So it was better to cover less and get them to discover. The same thing is true in marketing. If you can get someone to engage, if you can get them to go through some type of discovery process, that's when they will engage with you. So in a website, what I always try to do is, first of all, you come there, boom, it should communicate your brand absolutely immediately. I'm talking about your category, your subcategory, your position within that category, and the specific motivation that you go after. With me, I guess it'd be web marketing, and the motivation would be increase your revenue. That would be it, and I try to communicate that absolutely immediately. My positioning, I try to communicate as specialist. I'm a specialist. I've written this book about web marketing. I do seminars on web marketing. So I can very easily position myself as a specialist, and I can have evidence supporting that claim. Right? People's First, when I did their thing. It was like historic leader in the independent insurance category, the local independent insurance company. They're the historic leader. Well, you put the proof right up there. They've been around since 1906. You can't compete with that. It's a fact. That's like the German engineered Passat. It's a fact that car was engineered in Germany. But what does it really communicate? That the excellently engineered Passat. But you can't say quality service. You can't say better. You can't say better engineered. It's not better. It's about choices. It's about differentiation. I can either choose this or I can choose this. They're both good. They're both fine. I have a specific motivation. I can either hire Tom or I can hire Jason. Why? Because if I need one thing, I should hire Tom. If I need something else, I should hire Jason. They're not competing. And even people that are competing for the same jobs, you still have brands. Like, God, who's that? What's Maggie and them and
Ronnie, Pure Creative.
Pure Creative. They do excellent work. They build websites. They do excellent work. They're both designers. And so is Lavalomatics. They do beautiful work. They're designers. They paint these original paintings and scan them in. Just do beautiful work. We would be competing for some of the same big website jobs. Some of the South Charlotte, the bigger website jobs. But what we would do is focus on our core brand. That's what we should do. And let them decide. It's differentiation. Do I want a highly skilled designer, and I want that person to come in here? Or do I want a marketing guy who employs designers? Which one do I want? It's differentiation. So, once you come to your website, you need to present your brand, present your differentiation right up front. Stand out. Be one thing loud and clear. And then you need to get them to engage. If they cannot buy, if they do not want to buy, let them do something else. Let them, sign up for a newsletter. Let them click here. Let them do something. A lot of people are not ready. They come there, they see they're not ready. They're not ready to call you. They're just there doing due diligence. You want to look good. Of course you have to look professional, and you have to look, important and all that stuff. That's fine. Accessible and all that. But you have to look specific. You have to be one thing. And if they're interested in that one thing, they're going to do something. They'd be willing to do something. If they come there and your brand matches their motivation, they will be willing to do something. Will they call you immediately and hire you? Maybe not. Give them another option. Try to get them to engage. Click here to do something. Click here and sign up for this. Receive this. I've got on here a couple of tools. Blog, newsletter, and autoresponders. That's what Joe Taylor does. Joe Taylor runs a business called eContent Cafe. And what he does is he works for websites, essentially. He creates autoresponders. He creates newsletters, and he creates blogs, and writes articles, and all this stuff. An autoresponder is this. Learn 5 ways to boost your business by doing something or other. Something related to you. Learn the 6 pitfalls of small business law. You put in your email, you hit submit. You get an email back with 1 pitfall. The next day, you get another email back with the 2nd pitfall. 3rd day, you get another email back. The point is they asked you to send them an email. They asked you. I would stay away from these email blasts. I would stay away from these email blasts. I did it at first, right when I got to town. First thing I did was email everybody in your county. Everybody. And I was like, this is awesome. You can set it up in an Outlook and it does it automatically by itself. This is great. Right? Only use that, in my opinion, for people who have opted in to receive it. They've either bought from you, you have a relationship with them, they wouldn't mind getting an email from you. Otherwise, you are junk mail. We even have a folder in our Outlook that's called junk mail. You do not want to be associated with garbage. Right? That's not good. I get mail and I see it like physical mail. I get it and I throw it in the trash. You don't want your name on a piece of paper and I'm going to throw it in the trash. And you're like, God, I wish they'd quit sending this crap. Right? That's called junk mail. You don't want to be garbage. People will associate you with that. Now, if your brand is the absolute discount price leader, my brand is flea market all the way, fine. Send out as much junk mail as you want. But if your brand is, I'm a specialist, I'm a professional, and you could really benefit by coming and talking to me for a little while, don't send out junk mail. Don't send out junk mail. Spend your time positioning yourself. Spend your money positioning yourself. Publish when you can. Get out in front of people when you can. Have a website that promotes you as a specialist. But don't become too narcissistic. Don't become too egotistic and narcissistic. Because It's not about you, it's about your prospect. When people come to your website, does your website say this? We've been around for such and such, and we do this, and we are this, and we are this. If it does, change it. Change it. Change it to say, are you looking for X? If so, here's how it can benefit you. Talk about them. Right? Don't talk about yourself. So, in summary, the absolute most important thing that any business can do, small business can do, in my opinion, regardless of whether you're a professional service, you're CPA, you're a lawyer, or you're on the corner selling copies, or whatever you might be doing, say one thing loud and clear. Be one thing. I have struggled with this so much, and it's such an epiphany to get to it. Be one thing. And when people want that thing, they will seek you out. And when you approach them for their business, they will see you as being that one thing. Sacrifice everything else. You cannot be more than one thing. If you can umbrella 10 services under one thing, great, do it. People need multiple services, that's fine. But be one thing. Right? Secondly, understand the motivations of your prospect. Go check out Word Tracker. I think they have, like, you can join it for a week or something for $20. I think they have some type of deal trying to entice you to pay the annual. But go check it out, wordtracker.com. You can actually type in any word you want. You type in Fort Mill, and you can see the top 100 terms that are typed in with the word Fort Mill in it. You can see the motivations of people that are out there. What do they want? What do they type into that box with the flashing cursor? Whatever they type in, that's what they want. So understand the motivations of your prospects. And then build your brand around it. Drop your other services. Focus on your core services and be one thing. Go directly after those people. Now, that doesn't mean you have to fire all of your current clients. I know you need the revenue. Keep your current clients, serve your current clients, but build a website, build a marketing plan, build a plan to become something specific and become that over the next 2 years. And then lastly, as you're building your brand, once you become one thing, your job is to tell everybody that you are that thing. You got to get out there. You got to engage. You got to be passionate. You got to believe in what you're doing. You got to get in front of people and say, I am this, and that's important. Right? Tell everybody. Advertise. 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 And I don't do print advertising, so I'm not selling my services. Advertise. Go hire a designer and put an ad in a print and run it over and over and over again. And don't change it constantly. Don't make it a laundry list of services. Say one thing and say it over and over and over and over and over again. You will be that thing to York County. You will be that thing. And when you get them to engage, start conversations with them. Keep it ongoing. Get them to participate. Get them to ask to receive something. Give them free information. Do not hoard information. Tell them anything that you can possibly tell them for free. Anything. Completely put it out on the table. Anything. I always give people, when they ask me about websites, I always tell them multiple options. Only one of them is working with me. Completely tell them the truth and put it out on the table. You will be that much more the expert, you will be that much more trustworthy, and you will be that much more a person that they want to do business with. They are not going to try to go and do your job. They don't have time. They have plenty of stuff to do. They're going to hire you or not hire you regardless. Tell them everything they want to know. So, that is the seminar. You got focus into one thing. Say one thing loud and clear. You've got understand the motivations of your prospects and build your brand around that. And thirdly, use that brand to engage and create conversations with people. I very much appreciate your time and appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Anybody got some questions for Jason?
Please, please.
No.
Yes, ma'am.
So like in my situation, I think you know that I'm a spa and I have a whole bunch of stuff going on in there.
Not necessarily, Christy, because I host websites, I maintain them, I manage them, I create strategies. But all of that is web marketing. If you can say, and I challenge FIB, instead of doing 60-second commercials, to change it for a couple weeks to 7 words. You only get 7 words. If you can tell me what you do in 7 words, not right now, but then you're fine. Because you can be that and focus all your marketing on that. you know, I'm talking about the law of singularity versus the law of association. If you have an exercise spa and you have this and you have that, and people understand that, they're going to assume that you have something else. They assume that, wrongly, they assume that I can fix their computers. So if you have one service, they're going to associate closely related services to that. Focus on the service that's going to bring you the most traffic, and think about the ancillary services as being a way to offer your current clients more ways to take advantage of your service. So what brings them in the door? Market just to that. And then when they get there, say, oh, you give massages. That's great. After a long workout, I really need a massage. You know, that kind of thing. That's what I would suggest. But be the one thing that brings them in the door. Yes, ma'am.
The question that I have is, you know, here it says, especially when you're only trying to reach customers in your own neighborhood, when I think of the internet, especially for mortgage lending, we get hits on our website and people calling, and you'll be talking to them, and they'll say, oh yeah, I'm buying in Midvale. And you're thinking, where the hell is Midvale? Oh, Virginia? Sorry, we're only licensed in North and South Carolina. So for me, it feels like we would have to weed out a lot of people.
So
like the other 48 states.
So what I would say is that your web marketing strategy is slightly off base. I would say your web marketing strategy seems to be about mortgage lending and not about Fort Mill or Lake Wylie or York County. I would say you should alter your strategy to focus on York County. Couple it with, you know, the mortgage lending. But I would do a huge renovation of your website and your keywords and your SEO, you know, where you show up in search engines, and focus. I would make it to where when people come to your page, it is blatantly obvious that you are in York County, South Carolina, and if you're not here, then we cannot serve you.
Because I think that we kind of, the name of the company is Peachtree Lending, and everyone thinks Lending Tree, and we kind of use that to our advantage to a certain extent. You know, it's like that guy who won the governorship because his last name was Franklin.
Right.
And he was really a nobody, but everyone thought he was that Franklin guy and got, you know, so it's kind of that type of thing.
I would differentiate, though. You know, piggybacking is okay to build up some revenue and business at the beginning, but it hurts you in the long run.
See, I can't change the name of my
No, I don't mean change the name. I don't mean change the name. I just mean focus on the Peachtree, focus on differentiation. I would even look at integrating it into the whole, you know, the feel of Fort Mill, having all the peach trees, and I'll try to integrate it into the community more, so that it is blatantly obvious when I come to that website that this website cannot serve me. You want those people to leave.
Right.
Yeah, because it wastes your time and costs you money to have to deal with those people. So I would say you don't have a. It's not that the internet can't serve a local market. It's that you have to create your strategy to serve the local market.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Demographically, who's using the internet to seek?
Okay, excellent question. Increasingly, everybody. Increasingly. Now, obviously, you can't say everybody. But, you know, especially the younger you get, the more and more and more. But it's not the case that the younger generation is tons more internet savvy than the perfect than your age. Because
Somewhere was going so good.
I know, yeah. Terry, your age is running the world. Your age is running the world. My generation is trying to take it over. Right? Yeah, ruining, not ruining the world. You're running. You are ruining. You're all ruining the world, Terry. No. Your generation is running the world, and the world is increasingly being run by information and access to information. It really always has been. But people do their due diligence online. People are in front of the computer more than they're in their cars in lots of professions, increasingly in the United States. And they do their due diligence online. Even if they hear of you from a referral, people say, well, most of my business is referrals, so I don't know your website. Here's the deal. When people hear about you, they go and look you up. And whatever they find, you are that in their mind. If they find something mediocre, you are mediocre. So the demographic, I would say equally men and women. People use it at home, people use it at work, and especially people that sit in front of and sit at the desk all day are on it for personal reasons all the time. They sneak onto it constantly. Right? I know that from personal and my employees. Right? So I don't have a better answer than that, but I would say increasingly everybody in the general sense of your prospect. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry I came in late. I'm from the Rock Hill chapter.
Oh, okay.
Y'all get up way too early. But with gas prices the way they are, you know, everybody is, I don't know about everybody else, but and I sell real estate. So we're all trying to figure out how we can use the internet to satisfy more and more of our clients' questions without having them get in the car and come to where we are for every single thing.
Right.
So we're looking for ways to try and answer more questions online.
When you type in any city into this database, number 2, 3, 4, definitely in the top 5 is that city coupled with the word real estate. It is the most popular thing that anybody does online when they're looking to do commerce. It's real estate. It's everywhere. Linda Hall, she told me she gets 80 to 85% of her sales come in through her website. It's absolutely phenomenal. People, I do it too. Anybody that starts the process of real estate, besides what they happen to just drive by on their way to work, they start on the internet. Now the point is, it also, statistics tell us with real estate that whoever you start with, you finish with. Whoever you meet, you see a little sign, you're interested in this house, you call the sign, whoever shows up becomes your realtor. They become your buyer's agent.
About 86%.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane. You're not going to change. The point is, people are satisfied with satisfactory. They're satisfied with satisfactory. That's what the word means. Unless you really mess up multiple times, you're going to keep that person because they know you, they trust you, they can call you. You know, unless you're really a shyster or something, you know, you're going to keep that person. So the point is, how do you make first contact? If people are making first contact predominantly on the internet, then it would stand to reason that you've got to be present. People type in. The problem is there's so much competition with the term real estate. Real estate Fort Mill. Boy, it's hard to compete with that. You got to have a lot of money, because I know Linda spends a lot of money on her website. You got to be able to compete. Now, if they type in something different, here's why blogs are so beautiful. You blog is you can go and log in. You can just write, a little paragraph, write it, whatever. You do it every day or a couple times a week. Your website grows. Somebody types in something strange. Looking for 1-bedroom house in Fort Mill. You happen to have written a blog where that exact sentence, almost that exact sentence shows up. You come up first, randomly. And then the other big regular Fort Mill real estaters come up under you. And you come up as the exact specific thing that they typed in, so they're more inclined to actually click on your website. Now, what do they find when they get there? Is it confusing, hard to understand, not tapping into their motivations? Does it ask them to do something or not? That means you have to have a good website. But the point is, with a blog, you can show up for terms that you could never compete with in a traditional manner. Don't try to compete with Fort Mill real estate or Rock Hill real estate unless you've got the money to spend. You're wasting your money otherwise. Go do a blog and blog on it every day. And somebody types in something random, boom, you come up first. So I would look into blogs if I was you.
Jason, did
Yes.
you also say that like Google and everything goes through and reads your same website, and if your website doesn't change, then you get thrown back somewhere in Google history? Or
Right, yeah. Essentially what it does is it catalogs you. Google comes here and it reads the Google bot comes and reads. It's almost like AI. I don't mean Allen Iverson, I mean artificial intelligence. Right? It comes to your website, it reads it. It understands the different words that it finds, and it runs like percentage on how many words repeat and what your website's about based on the words that are there, and the positioning of those words and how they're tagged and all that stuff. But it understands what your website's about. It comes back. If there's new material, it has to read it again. If it comes back, if there's new material, it has to read it again. If it's again about the same thing, it recatalogs you under the same thing, and you start to move up. If you get other people to link to you that have the similar content on their website, like you're a CPA, you get other financial institutions to link to you. The words financial are out there. They come to your website, the words financial are here. Google starts to push you up. If the Google bot comes back to your website and it has not changed, and it comes back in, and it has not changed, comes back in, and it has not changed, it quits wasting its time. It quits wasting its time on you. And they don't necessarily penalize you, but you just kind of stay there, and everybody else is changing their website all the time, keeps getting bumped up. That's why blogging is wonderful, because it gives you a whole new page. Every time you blog, it's a whole new page to your website that Google has to read and catalog. And your website becomes enormous.
How many people do pre-research on the internet before buying? And I'm kind of thinking, like in my position, it's 60 to 70% of my leads come in via yellow pages. Probably another 20 to 30% come in through referrals. And honestly, there's probably only about less than 10%. I'd say less than 5% we find that come into the internet.
Right.
And
Well, I would say that for a lot of businesses right now, the internet is not about immediate return on investment as far as people go, well, I can spend all this money on a website, I only have 2 people email me from the website. What it's more about to some services, now some, like the real estate, people will come to you straight through your website. But to some services, it's about due diligence. It's about the fact that sometimes when you look in the yellow pages, Tom, there might be 4 companies that offer the same thing. The one with the biggest ad usually gets the call, because that's in the perception of people's minds, hey, they must be the best and the biggest and whatever. Well, increasingly people are going to the internet for that type of perception. They check out a couple websites, and whoever seems to be the best and most engaging, they get involved with and they contact.
Yeah, our thing is, it's counterintuitive almost, because we're a computer services company, but most people will call us until the computer's already broken.
Right. Well, that's true. You told me that before, and I think that's funny. That's true. But though, that's not the case. That's not the case with a company like myself, who's thinking, I need to step it up a notch as far as bringing in in-house servers and do this and that and the other. I would do some serious research. Now, I'm going to call you because we have a good relationship. But if I didn't know you, I would do some serious research before I would call anybody. I'm not going to just go with whatever joker shows up at the door. Because to me, this is my lifeblood, and I'm very serious about it. And I'll have Bob, my tech guy, who researches for me, and give you reports on who's the best person to work with. I'm very serious about it. And we'll do it all online. We won't call anybody.
It really, I guess, depends on the market, probably the business services side of what we do.
So I would think about who your prospect is. If your prospect is a guy sitting at home, drinking coffee, and all of a sudden his computer breaks, if that's who you really want, then, run huge yellow page ads. Cover 2 pages, span it across, and then just have a little 1-page website with a contact button. If your prospect is me, build a big, fat, beautiful website and don't even pay for the yellow pages, because I never even